Alright, what's going on, guys? We are getting to that time of year once again where things are about to get very busy. Once we get to about September going into the holiday season, lots of game shows start having their showcases, video game publishers and companies start ramping up their marketing, and we as fans get a lot of information. Things like games coming out within the next year or season, and when it comes to Fromsoftware, I think we have a lot to look forward to. But there's also been a lot of things going on in the shadows that haven't really been talked about a whole lot, and information that needs to be put in the greater context of what's going on in terms of Elden Ring and the future Fromsoftware games that we have to look forward to in the next year. But as we dive into everything today, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I always make sure to keep you up to date and in the loop of what's going on at Fromsoftware, and we also talk about all things Elden Ring. But with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we can really start speculating and talking about what we have to look forward to in the coming months, let me get you up to speed on the biggest news we've gotten this year with regards to what's coming in the future at Fromsoftware. About a month ago, we got an interview with Miyazaki where he revealed a lot. And while there's a ton of information in that interview, let me break down the main points. He revealed that their next game is in the final stages of development. They were greatly expanding the hands-on deck, hiring lots of new employees at Fromsoftware. There were several other games in development, and that work on Elden Ring was continuing. Now, when that news came out, a lot of people noticed some very interesting things about the job postings that the Fromsoftware PR website put up, in that they were looking for people with experience in mech design and robot art, which was kind of weird considering that a lot of evidence points to Armored Core being Fromsoftware's next game. Now, if you don't know what Armored Core is, basically it's a sci-fi mech game that Fromsoftware have made in the past that focuses on the player customizing and building a mech to take on missions and an overarching story. It is extremely different than Dark Souls, so players that go into these games thinking they're going to be more like the Soulsborne style formula are going to be in for a shock. However, based on the sound of things and leaks that have come out recently, it does appear like the next Armored Core game is going to have a similar skeleton to the Soulsborne formula. But Miyazaki sort of dropped a bombshell at the end of that interview when he described the future of Fromsoftware. He said that going forward we're going to see a very different color of Fromsoftware. He also described that in the future there's going to be many more games, focusing on what the team wants to make at that time. But he described that he personally wanted to pursue an even more abstract style of fantasy than Elden Ring. And to be honest, Elden Ring is already so abstract that a lot of people are having trouble forming the story. So for Miyazaki to say that he wants to take that even a step further is very exciting to me. Because honestly, I love the obtuse nature of these games. Piecing together all the mystery is definitely my favorite part. But the way I interpreted the wording of that interview makes me think that we're going to be getting a lot more games more frequently and of a lot of different styles. So instead of there being a 2-year gap between a Sekiro and an Elden Ring, I'd wager that we're gonna start getting a game from Fromsoftware almost every year. And I know to a lot of people that might sound like they're going the quantity over quality route, but with Elden Ring sales now passing over 16.6 million, you better believe that they're gonna be getting the resources they need to continue that quality and capitalize off the back of that success. So to me, that only sounds like a good thing. Now, something else that's been in the news recently and has generated a lot of talk is that Activision has been sponsoring Sekiro content from Zullie the Witch. It was 2 videos that break down the way Sekiro sets itself apart from the other Souls games and from Fromsoftware's standard. They're really cool videos and definitely worth a watch. However, I want to analyze why Activision chose to do this now, because Sekiro's been out for quite a while now. Some people were taking this to be a hint that a Sekiro 2 could be in the works, but trust me, as much as I want a Sekiro 2, I don't think that's the case. What I think is likely happening here is that Activision saw an opportunity to market Sekiro again off the back of Elden Ring hype. This has likely been in the works for a while, so I don't want to read too much into the timing, but now that most people have finished Elden Ring and the player base has dropped quite a bit, it is a great time to market to those new players who haven't experienced Sekiro before. And I do hope this campaign got a lot of people to try out Sekiro, because it definitely is one of Fromsoftware's best works. But now that you have the context of recent news, let's look into what we can expect in the coming months. Now, let me go ahead and tell you something that I am expecting very soon. I can say with almost 100% confidence that it will not be too long before some major Fromsoftware news breaks. Now, what exactly that's going to be, I'm not sure. It could be a trailer for the upcoming Armored Core game, or it could even be an Elden Ring DLC announcement. I don't know the specifics, but I do know that stuff is coming very soon. If Armored Core is Fromsoftware's next game, which it most likely will be, then I imagine that it will not do nearly as well as Elden Ring, since Armored Core is a very dated franchise, and those players that Elden Ring attracted are going to feel like they need to start at the beginning. And And with the genre of the game being so different, I imagine it's going to alienate a lot of those people. So in order to keep the hype going, they're going to need to release something that can cater to the target audience. And I don't think anybody doubts that Elden Ring DLC would be the absolute best way to do that. Now, personally, I think it would be smarter to announce Armored Core before an Elden Ring DLC, since there is a bit of hype around Elden Ring still. And if they announce Elden Ring DLC either later this year or early next year, then I think that interest would still be there. So when can we expect one of these announcements to happen? Well, the next game show that we have coming up is the Gamescom Showcase this next week. But if I'm being honest, after looking through all the details of it, I really don't expect anything Elden Ring or Fromsoftware related, because I think we pretty much know everybody that's going to be there. And while there are some really cool games that are going to be showcased, for the sake of this video, I think our chance of seeing Elden Ring there is pretty much zero. But what I really have my eye on is Tokyo Game Show in September. That's going to be taking place on September 15th and running through that weekend. And as many of you know, Fromsoftware has a great history with Tokyo Game Show. They have revealed several of their games there in the past, and personally, I believe that would be a fantastic opportunity to reveal Armored Core. Now, I could be totally wrong about this, but I do believe Armored Core has catered more to the Japanese audience in the past, so it may do better for that game to be showcased somewhere where the audience is going to be a bit more familiar with that game and its history. While Elden Ring was more of a breakout success in the West, I could see them holding off a DLC announcement for a showcase that caters to a wider audience, but that's just my opinion. Now, the one thing that does have me a bit doubtful about Tokyo Game Show is that I was looking through the list of participants, and I did not see Bandai Namco listed on there, but I also can't read Japanese, so it may be in different characters. Now, if they do choose to skip over Tokyo Game Show, which I wouldn't be totally surprised about, there's also Gamescom Asia, which is going to be happening in late October, but the most obvious candidate to showcase their new game or Elden Ring DLC is going to be the Game Awards in December. Here's the thing though, let me give you my honest prediction. While I would definitely bet the house that Fromsoftware is going to have something at the Game Awards, I am convinced we're getting something before then. Now, while I can't give you the evidence I have, I do think we're getting their next game announcement, which is going to be probably Armored Core, and an Elden Ring DLC announcement before the end of the year. Now, in what order, I don't know, but I think one of those is going to be at the Game Awards and another is going to happen before then. And if we don't hear about one of those before the end of September, I'm going to be very confused. Even if it's not official, I do think some leaks will come out by then. Now, something else I want to talk about are future Elden Ring updates. We just got patch 1.06, it pretty much did everything the community was asking for, but when it comes to a 1.07 or 1.08, I'm not entirely sure what else there is to fix. Off the top of my head, I think the game is fairly balanced now in terms of multiplayer, and I can't really think of any prominent glitches or exploits either, so if they were to do a 1.07 or a 1.08, I think that might come in the way of new content. Small little tidbits of gameplay, like extra NPC questline steps, or the thing that I'm still holding out hope for, the 3 arenas that we can find around the map being opened and created for a designated multiplayer area, just like we had in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. But to wrap all of this up, even though we don't really have the details of what's coming, it's about to be an exciting time to be a Fromsoftware and Elden Ring fan. I'm excited to see what Miyazaki's been cooking up. Whatever this new game is that's coming out, it's been in development for about 6 years, so you already know it's gonna be a good one. But let me know down in the comments below what you think that game is gonna be. It's probably gonna be Armored Core, I'm gonna tell you right now, but there's a chance it might not be. Also, when do you think we're gonna see Elden Ring DLC for the first time? Either way though, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Please leave a like if you did and subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.